Greetings exiles, I'm CodRayZeal, and joining me today as always are Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortescue III and Frank. Say hi guys.
Hi.
And today we'll be going over my Dragon-Jooced Righteous Fire Guardian. Now let's start with the concept, and that is basically taking advantage of the instant casting of Righteous Fire to finally use a Coruscating Elixir or Dragon-Jooced in a Righteous Fire build. I've been wanting to do this for some time, but the mechanic was just too clunky until now. So anyway, that is the core concept. The build was built around being able to go low life when necessary, and also just regular hybrid when necessary, depending on what I was doing. So starting out, I think most energy shield based guardians will pick up at least Radiant Faith, and typically in the past they may have picked up Unwavering Faith as well. But I'm not using that many auras, so I didn't pick it up this time. Next up we have Time of Need, which is pretty much a staple for a lot of Righteous Fire builds. And basically what we're gaining from this is burst regen and also just some curse removal and ailment removal. But mainly that burst regen. We basically recover 30% of our life over 1 second. Or in this case our energy shield, because Zealot's Oath does affect this, and that happens every 5 seconds, so it equates to about 6% regeneration, but obviously not all at once. Now a lot of the other energy shield or low life Righteous Fire builds I've seen would pick up something like Bastion of Hope or Unwavering Faith. Another cool option is Harmony of Purpose, which now gives us a chance to gain charges on hit. But I've decided to go down the Summoner route. So the first node here, Radiant Crusade, gives us 20% increased damage for us and our allies and anything affected by our auras, as well as giving us 10% more damage while we have at least one nearby ally, which should be all the time because we are using a Holy Relic as well as Herald of Purity. It also gives us Herald of Purity buff effect, which doesn't affect us at all, and then Sentinels of Purity have 50% increased area of effect, which does affect us, and we'll go over why a little bit later on. We then pick up Unwavering Crusade. Now the biggest thing that this gives us is life regeneration. If we hit an enemy recently, we gain 3% life regeneration, and this works on our minions as well, making them tankier. This also gives our minions a lot of accuracy rating. The Intimidate doesn't affect us because we're using Righteous Fire to deal damage, and then it also gives us some area of effect, allowing us to skip the need of the increased area of effect support gem in favor of concentrated effect, further boosting our damage. Now while we're in the passive tree, let's just go over some of the important details. First off, we don't pick up Zealot's Oath because of the chest we're using. We do however pick up Spiritual Aid, which makes minion damage apply to us. This is just a really good way, if you're coming to this side of the tree, to get more options for increasing your damage. Additionally, we pick up Spiritual Command. This makes it so that minion attack speed boosts us as well, and we can then pick up minion attack speed on our jewels and whatnot. Right now this isn't benefiting me that much, but I'm keeping it for the moment because it's still a decent attack speed boost. Along with that, Spiritual Aid also makes nodes like Retribution pretty good, giving us 24% increased damage as well as 5% increased attack speed and 10 strength and intelligence. This build doesn't have Pain Attunement, and that is because we're not using Scorching Ray, which we'll go over a little bit later on. This build, since it's using Geofri's Sanctuary, does use a few efficient training jewels over here and over here. We then just have a basic energy shield and resists jewel, and we're just picking up strength and regen where we can find it, along with an additional socket for a Watcher's Eye with increased energy shield recovery rate while affected by discipline. The full passive tree will be available in the description in the form of a path of building think. So with that said, let's just go over the gear and how it's all fitting together. First of all, our chest, in lieu of a Shavronne's wrapping, since we are using Dragon-Jooced, we have Geofri's Sanctuary. Geofri's Sanctuary is a nice chest for most Guardians that have a decent amount of strength, as it gives us +2 maximum energy shield per 5 strength, and then stacks with the Shaper's Touch, which is the next item. I got one with Despair on hit because they were really cheap at 15 chaos, and this one just about had the sockets I need. Shaper's Touch gives us energy shield per strength, as well as mana per strength, which for a Guardian is insane, and I think most Guardians would also be running this. Another important unique that we're using is Doriani's Delusion. I went over this briefly in my cool things you can do with Righteous Fire video, and basically the reason we use this is because it grants us a level 25 Purity of Fire, and should we need it, 5 link for our Enlightened gem, which we're not using right now, but yeah. This does give us some life, making it less than ideal for some energy shield based Righteous Fire builds, but since we are hybrid and building around that, this is a really strong option for us. The belt, like with most Righteous Fire builds, you'd either have energy shield or life recovery rate, in our case energy shield recovery rate, on a heavy belt because we're scaling strength to boost our energy shield, with just a little bit of resistances, armor, and some extra life just to bolster the pool a bit more against chaos damage. A weapon, a staple for anyone stacking strength 700 plus, is Dune Yari. This is made better by the fact that shield charge no longer benefits greatly from attack speed on our weapon. So this is a pretty solid option now, and gives us about 100% increased damage from strength, a little bit less than that because my strength is quite low at the moment. It also allows us to 4-link a secondary skill with a level 30 Iron Will, as well as giving us a substantial boost in our strength and cast speed. For the helm, I'm just using an Elder base helm with socketed gems are supported by level 16 burning damage, some energy shield, and some resists. This could be a hell of a lot better, but this is suiting me for now, so I haven't really found the need to change it. An essence crafted helm with an Essence of Horror that has one of the Righteous Fire support gems in it is going to be a much better option. Our amulet, this is a really nice amulet to have. If you cannot afford a Presence of Chayula, then an Astromantis will give you just about as much energy shield, but you likely won't be going low life if you're using an Astromantis. You'll stick to going hybrid. You don't lose much by doing that, except for the Vitality Aura and some armor. That said, when you do have a Presence of Chayula, you gain 20% of your life as energy shield. Now, what this basically means is that 20% of our flat life is multiplied by our life percent increase, and then by our energy shield percent increase. So it's not quite 20% of our life that we're getting. It's some little mishmash of that, but it does give us a substantial amount of energy shield for our life and a remarkable amount of chaos resistance, as well as stun immunity. On that note, if you do wear an Astromantis, then what you will likely do is skip out on Unwavering Crusade and instead pick up Bastion of Hope, which gives us a substantial amount of chance to block attacks for 2 seconds of every 5 seconds, and if you've blocked in the past 10 seconds, you and nearby allies cannot be stunned. This gives us our stun immunity, thus saving us the need for a Presence of Chayula. Our shield is an energy shield with a Leo crafted reduced damage taken from damage over time. You could also use a Rise of the Phoenix in this slot, or even a Saffel's Frame. Our rings are just a little bit of chaos resistance, strength, energy shield, mana, and resistances. Our other one is a little bit worse, containing more resistances, energy shield, and mana. As for our flasks, most importantly, Dragon-Jooced. This is paired with a Cautious Eternal Life Flask of Staunching. Cautious because it gives us 100% increased recovery when on low life, which we always will be after using a Coruscating Elixir. and also just bleed removal, because you've got to have bleed removal somewhere. In addition to that, we're using an Alchemist's Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline for a move speed boost. We're using a Sulphur Flask of Warding to remove curses and also just give us that Consecrated Grounds for some extra regen. And lastly, since I was delving prior to making this video, I have my Perpetual Quartz Flask of Heat. This basically allows us to run through the mobs in the darkness and pick up all the juicy fossils and resonators that reside there. This has freeze and chill immunity because there are quite a few monsters in there that can freeze you quite reliably. Now that that's out of the way, let's just quickly go over the gem links and then the conclusion. First of all, our main setup, the Righteous Fire, is in a burning damage helmet linked with efficacy, concentrated effect and elemental focus. Thanks to our passive for the Herald of Purity, we don't really need an increased AoE. As you can see, the area of effect is really rather reasonable at this stage. Then in our weapon, in lieu of Scorching Ray, I've decided to use Cold Snap, linked with elemental focus and increased area of effect. This deals a little bit of damage from a range and also gives us frenzy charges. So I think for general map clearing, most Righteous Fire builds should just switch their Scorching Ray to a Cold Snap just to make clearing a little bit faster. In our gloves, we have Summon Holy Relic, linked with faster casting and increased area of effect, and our Orb of Storms is also just socketed in there. Ideally, we'd have a Stone Golem in here, but I didn't really have the sockets for it. In our boots, we have Purity of Fire on the boots themselves, and then Discipline and Herald of Purity, which is linked to Combustion and Elemental Proliferation. As I went over in my cool things you can do with Righteous Fire video, this gives enemies that are ignited by the Heralds of Purity 19% reduced fire resistance, which, since it's being proliferated with all the extra AoE from the Sentinels, is quite far-reaching and covers just about everything. In our shield, we have our optional auras, that being a clarity to the level that you reserve as much mana as you possibly can while still being able to cast your skills, and then a vitality linked with blood magic. This basically just reserves our life, granting us armor and potentially the pain attunement effect if you want that. Most of the time I actually just run with this off because it gives Dragon-Jooced more healing. And lastly, in our chest, because 5 linking shield charge is a good idea, we have shield charge linked with Fortify and faster attacks, and then in addition to that, currently I'm trying Onslaught and Culling Strike. If you had a 6 link, it would probably be shield charge, Fortify, faster attacks, Culling Strike, and then Summon Phantasm on kill and minion speed. The reason for this is because minion speed can't support shield charge unless it's a minion skill. Summon Phantasm on kill makes it a minion skill and allows you to get that 20% increased attack speed from minion speed. But this just seemed like a better setup, and I do end up with Onslaught sometimes because of the Culling Strike, so I'm just using this right now because it's easier and I got the right colors for it. If you'd like to see more about using Dragon-Jooced, then please check out the cool things you can do with Righteous Fire video. And that is about it for this build. There will be a path of building in the description about how the character is now. And following this, I am now starting the Cultist, which is going to use some of these cool things you can do with Righteous Fire mechanics, but we will be 6 linking our Righteous Fire in that build and taking advantage of Profane Blue. So let's see how that works. If you'd like to see future guides, then do hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button. So from myself, Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortescue III, and Frank, we'd like to thank you for watching, and good luck, and stay juicy. Dragon-Jooced.